Hey guys, welcome to Starting Out Solitary. I'm your Thursday host, Michelle, and this week is Q&A time. So we all have a list of questions here that we get to pick and choose from to answer, and I'm going to probably pick, I think I have like 3 or 4 that I decided on answering, and the first one is, what's the funniest question, comment, reaction to about your path that you've received from someone who wasn't pagan? I've received a lot of interesting, weird, funny, sarcastic comments from friends, family, people I know, coworkers. One in particular I received from a coworker was, "So you're a witch?" "Yeah." "Do you do like spells and stuff?" "Yeah." "So that shit's like real?" "Yeah." Or, you know, "Do you summon the devil? Do you know how to summon the devil? Do you work with demons?" Like, no. Devil and demons are a Christian construct, not pagan. Well, not in my pagan practice anyway. What other funny things have people said to me? You know, if I'm joking around with friends or family members, sometimes I'll get comments like, "Why don't you go do some of your, weird witchcraft stuff and leave me alone," or, "Don't put no curse on me, I'm just kidding," or some, stuff like that. People joke around me a lot. I'm a very, very sarcastic person. I'm constantly making jokes and sarcastic comments about things, so my friends and family are similar, so they tend to make lots of strange yet very funny comments that they don't offend me. It doesn't bother me, so I just laugh with them and move on. They know they're kidding, I know they're kidding, so it doesn't really bother me. But what's your favorite kind of magic to practice? My favorite kind of magic in terms of the execution of it is, I used to be very much into candle magic, and I still am, but I've been also into doing jars lately. Lots of jars and bottles and things like that. But actually, when I use jars and bottles, I'm using a candle anyway. So I'm going to have to say candle magic in one way or another is probably my favorite type of magic. But if you're talking about like systems of magic, what I practice isn't really one thing or another. I tend to incorporate bits and pieces of things that I resonate with from lots of different magical systems, and I tend to incorporate certain practices from hoodoo, certain chaos magic type of things. I just tend to pick and choose and make things my own, but even though I'm not Christian and I don't use the Bible, I do use a lot of, or utilize a lot of different kinds of practices that are typically used in hoodoo. Of course, mine is the Bible and Psalms parts of it. Next question is, how do you deal with the general public's perception of witchcraft, paganism, Wicca, or whatever other tradition you're involved with? How do I deal with the general public? Well, I don't necessarily walk around going, "Hey, hi, I'm Michelle, I'm a witch, nice to meet you, I practice witchcraft, hey, how you doing?" I've been questioned before about my pentacle. People have asked me if it's a Jewish star, which of course it's not. Or they ask me, are you a Satanist? Is that a Satanist symbol? Or they'll look at it and just step away from me. Or, they'll just give me funny looks. I don't really care. I could care less, especially if I don't know you. If I don't know you, I really don't care what you think of me. I could care less. I used to be one of those people back when I was younger that really, really cared a lot about what people thought of me. And nowadays, I could give 2 shits, to tell you the truth, what people think of me. But when it comes to when I go to public places that are, pagan friendly, such as like my crystal shop or the Witchy shop or the incense lady that I know in the farmer's market, like, they know what it is. But, you know, they'll ask me, oh, are you pagan too? Or, you know, do you, you know, practice the craft? And, you know, but they're very, you know, open and friendly about it. But as far as the public's concerned, I really could care less. The only time I will, quote unquote, hide it or, like, make it less known is when I'm picking my daughter up or dropping her off at school or doing something at her school or having a meeting there or, you know, a parent thing or whatever. I usually just put this inside my shirt, and, you know, other than that, that's really the only other way people would know. And I just don't discuss it because she does go to a Christian school, so I don't necessarily want to advertise it there. However, if people ask me, you know, I've had people ask me before, why don't we see you on Sundays here at church? And I just say, you know, I'm not Christian. I don't go to church. Oh, well, what are you? You know, what religion are you? And I just tell them I'm pagan, and I have a nature-based practice or a nature-based spiritual path. And they usually don't take it any further than that. I've had people just nod and smile, and I've also had people just, you know, their eyes got real big and they'd walk away from me. So, but I don't care. You know, whatever. It's my life. I really don't care what people think. What other questions do we have here? What is your favorite spiritual utensil? Utensil? Do you mean tool or utensil? I do have, as far as utensils, I do have a really cool wooden carved spoon that I use for my herbs that my daughter's father's grandfather or grandfather carved long time ago and gave it to him, and then he gave it to me, and it's a really cool thing. And if I was home, I would show you, but I'm not at work right now. If I remember, I will put a picture in right here. But as far as tools, I'd have to say, instead of favorite, I'm going to go with my most used tool. And my most used tool, or utensil, whatever, is my incense burner, and what else? My candle snuffer, like, as far as, like, basic, mundane type of tools. Those are the things I use the most on a daily basis. What other questions have we got here? Are there any influences from whatever religion you grew up with from your family that shape your beliefs or practices now? In my house, I grew up, my dad was atheist, and my mom was kind of whatever. Her family, my mom's family, was Southern Baptist, but loosely. They weren't really, you know, religious fanatics, but they identified as Southern Baptist. My dad identified as atheist, but his family identified as Pentecostal, which is probably why he ended up being atheist, but that's a whole other story. The one thing I do remember that, now that I think about it, that resonated with me back then, or what my dad had around the house back then that resonates with me now, is he was very much into space and the cosmos and learning about the universe and, you know, the very scientific side of, you know, creation and the cosmos and things like that. You know, he had, you know, all these Carl Sagan books and, you know, books about the universe and you know, different planets and cosmos and galaxies, and I would love flipping through them and reading them and looking at all the pictures. And that's the one thing, now that I'm thinking about it, that's the one thing from my childhood that I'm still interested in now as an adult and that I incorporate into my practice, although that wasn't really a religious or spiritual practice of my father's. He just liked reading about it. He was very adamant that there's no such thing as God, there's no such thing as anything like that, and we were created by the process of evolution and blah blah blah. And so he was just interested in that, but that's something I like that I brought into my spiritual practice and my spiritual beliefs. So that's probably about it. Now when it comes to my mom's side of the family, I've mentioned in previous videos that I always suspected that they were into the craft in some way or another. Like I said, they were Southern Baptist, but they also did certain things and certain superstitious type things that my mom would tell me about that made me think, like, you know, were they into, you know, witchcraft? And I've asked my mom before, and she's like, I don't know, I have no idea, not that I'm aware of, but who knows, you never know. Her family was very into the paranormal and ghosts and stuff like that, and they very much believed in spirits and the afterlife and stuff like that. So that's also something that still resonates with me. You know, I'm very much into, you know, the paranormal, and I'm very much, you know, into, you know, spirit work and spirit contact and things like that. So those were a few things that I brought from my family and my childhood, not necessarily religious stuff, but stuff that's now in my spiritual practice. So I think that's it for the questions I have to answer. If you guys have any other questions for future Q&As, please leave them down below, and I hope you guys are having a great week. Blessed be.